and perhaps even misinformation regarding the project. Mr. Nkamza, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the studios of Radio Islam International.
Good morning, sir, and thank you so much.
All right, so this R554 rehabilitation project, you say that there's a misunderstanding. It's not about widening the road, it was about rehabilitating the road. Clarify that for us?
Yes, definitely. The project is called the R554 Rehabilitation Project.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that's us, or rather the contractor, getting rid of the old road and putting on a new road as part of road maintenance.
Now, looking at this question that has come in from Ghulam, he says that if the road is only an upgrade, then it's wasteful expenditure because there was nothing wrong with the road in the first place. Your response to that?
I would understand his concern, but I would also just state that remember that each and every infrastructure is due for upgrades as per its yearly cycles. So basically, any road that has been built can only last for 20 years. So each and every 15 to 20 years, you are requested to basically do a rehabilitation just to ensure that the road still is operational, basically.
What does rehabilitation entail? When we say we are going to rehabilitate a road, what do they actually do?
Okay. For this particular project, this is basically getting rid of the old surface,
mm-hmm.
but not only just getting rid of the old surface, but also making sure that the sub-base, which is basically the soil underneath the actual road, is duly prepared.
Now, the other issue that came to the fore from the community was about what they feel is poor communication. I'm looking at one message here from a listener on the WhatsApp screen saying, the recent information Vezi provided mentions that it's a rehabilitation project. We were initially told that it was an expansion project with 2 lanes on either side. If this is not the case, then he makes the same point. Why was there a need for rehabilitation as the road was fine? But you've responded to that. The point that he comes to about communication in this WhatsApp message, he says, there hasn't been transparency. We have requested project plans, budgets, and the spend to date, but nothing has been provided. Now, I know you say that no information was barred from those within Lenasia who wanted the information, but it's one thing to say, well, if you come to me, I'll tell you. It's another thing to proactively go to the community and say, look, this is the latest information, and do so on an ongoing and continuous basis. Specifically here, have the project plans, the budgets, and the spend to date been made available to the community?
Definitely they have been. To date, we have been having lots of engagements with the public on various platforms and various mediums. In fact, looking at Nirvana Drive, when the project started last year in April, we had myself and the CLO from Ward 8. Mm-hmm. We had actually actively, physically gone to the neighbors that are living in the immediate environment close to where we are working. We had actually done a house-to-house call whereby we were actually advising residents that there will be some construction going on for a period of 18 months. And we had also not only just engaged the residents as well, we had also engaged business owners as well.
How did this engagement take place? Was it a community meeting apart from the door-to-door?
There was a door-to-door. We are obviously in continuous community meetings with various stakeholders. We are in meetings with business forums of Ward 8 as well as Ward 122, which we do have meetings that take place on a weekly basis. We are also a part of a lot of WhatsApp groups as well, where we do share information, but also do take account that public meetings had been barred since as of last year. So basically, we have been having a challenge of not being able to actively host public meetings due to COVID-19 restrictions. Hence why we have been sharing information through other mediums, which is WhatsApp, which is Facebook, as well as smaller meetings, which are obviously hostable as per restriction regulation.
So the venue for these meetings, the reason I'm asking is because there are those who are going to say, but we don't know about these meetings. These community meetings prior to the COVID challenge, where were they taking place?
At our, for example, Ward 122 business forum meetings, we are hosted at Zakaria Park, Zakaria Park Community Hall. They do take place every single Thursday at 10 a.m. So that's where we get to engage with some of the business forum leaders. But as I had said, given since last year, we haven't had a chance to hold.
What about the Zoom meeting options? Because I know there have been, for example, there's this transport scholar exchange facility program that is ongoing in Lenasia. And in the last 6-7 months, they've had multiple Zoom meetings, and they pushed out the link via WhatsApp, etc., and people were allowed to engage with them. Did you not consider the option of Zoom meetings?
Over and above the meetings that we host with the public, we also do host a monthly project steering committee meeting with various stakeholders, which is key stakeholders from the community, which is your leaders of the public business forums, your JMPD, your councillors, the actual client itself, the contractor, and some of the people who are basically community leaders or block leaders. We do host those monthly meetings. We do have minutes of those. I can, you do have access to those meetings.
Perhaps if I can make a suggestion, right? I know that there are people from the community who are going to come back and say, but we're not aware of these meetings. We were not notified. Going forward, would you be able to forward Radio Islam notification of those meetings so we can put it on our community news segment? People will become aware of it. And on that note, just to close the aspect of communication and transparency, you said that the project plans, the budgets, and the spend to date, you're willing to make that information public. Could you hand that information over to one of our reporters so that we could also assist you in helping to make that public so that it alleviates this allegation against yourself that there isn't transparency?
Okay. Just coming to that, I do remember that sometime this year we were actually here at your offices as Radio Islam, whereby we had asked for your assistance to be able to broadcast some of the information pertaining to the project, which was done a few months back. So basically that then gives you an indication that there is no information that is being held back from the public. Because if we were willing to come take a step forward towards coming to Radio Islam to ask for your assistance in terms of broadcasting some of the information, that then clearly states that we are not holding back any information to the public. But over and above that, as I've said, this is a provincial project. So basically, anyone is allowed to go into the Department of Roads and Transport's website to be able to research any project that they feel they need information on. So they are able to do that. But also people, the community at large has our contact details, has my specific private number. I do get calls all the time of people inquiring about the actual project. We are on WhatsApp groups as well. We do get asked numerous questions daily, basically pertaining to everything from safety to the progress of the project. We are not holding any information back. So basically,
I appreciate that. Thank you for that. But very specifically on the project plans, the budgets, and the spend to date, are you willing to hand that over to Radio Islam?
You can even email that to you either way, basically.
Okay. Now, moving on from the aspect of communication to that of safety, right? A number of community members have been raising the issue about it being very unsafe during the night. There aren't detour signs or markings. The sand road is terrible. There's a lot of dust, damage to vehicles. Some are saying that road has been resurfaced and scraped too many times, and that this entire project is being approached in an unprofessional manner. Your response to that?
I would say that, yes, I am aware of a lot of health and safety issues that have been brought forward by the public. And understandably, with any construction project, you would expect frustrations coming forward from the users of the infrastructure. So from that regard, I do basically understand what the public is complaining about. However, I would like to also state that it is within the interest of the public to give the contractor enough time to be able to finish off the project, just so that they can be able to then see the end result. Because we are currently judging the project whilst it is still within its time frame. We haven't even allowed
even whilst you're busy with the project, there's a certain standard of quality that should be maintained.
Definitely, yeah.
I think the complaint here is that this quality is not being maintained, because over a period of 18 months, even if the initial date was met, which you've explained is not being met because of COVID, you can't expect the community to deal with an interim situation or a contingency situation that's below standards.
And I would ask, how do they come up to those judgments?
With these issues that I've just read for you from the screen.
I understand. Yeah. So what I'm asking is, how do they come up to those judgments stating that they are not up to standard? Remember,
no detour markings, for example, no adequate lighting for night driving. Those are the kind of issues that are being raised.
Basically, with each and every construction project, especially a provincial one, you are requested to test every single step, every step of the way. You are requested to test and submit any of your findings to the lab. So basically, the contractor works hand in hand with Road Lab, which is basically a private a testing a company basically that ensures that quality and standards are actually being met every step of the way.
So you're saying there's no issue in terms of, from your perspective?
I'm not stating that there is no issue. I would say I'm stating that the contractor is doing their due diligence basically on their side. But I would understand if the public is not understanding that to their full satisfaction. I'm not happy with the project progress on my side personally.
I'm talking of the safety and the whole nature of the contingency arrangement in terms of safety and the outlay and markings.
It would be impossible to guarantee anyone's safety in any construction project, given that any construction basically hinders peace in the environment. As I've stated before, that it does obviously incite frustration, it does incite safety concerns.
From your perspective, if you look at how everything is structured currently, right, whilst the project is underway, are you happy with the outlay and how it's designed and the markings and the quality of the temporary lanes, the sector? Because there seems to be complaints around that. I get your point that the contractor, they have their own processes that provide oversight to see that they're doing it up to a particular standard. My question is to you: are you happy with the quality of the current setup?
I would need to understand how then do you judge something that is still in progress? That's the
where quality of the contingency, the temporary setup. We're not talking about what it will look like after it's finished. Are you happy with how things are flowing currently?
Okay, maybe we're not on the same level in terms of understanding what this project comprises of. There's the actual roads that exist. Then there's temporary lanes. Are you then referring to the temporary lanes that have
Yes, the temporary lanes.
The temporary lanes. Well, temporary lanes are not meant to last a long time, basically. So you would expect that, say, in a month, every single month, it will deteriorate because the temporary lanes are not put up for a longer period of time. So you would expect that to take place. But obviously, over and above just looking at the fact that we've been having COVID delays, we have also been having a lot of intrusions. We have been having a lot of problems arising from the actual community itself. We've been having protests. All of those things actually stifled the project progress.
There's a quick question here that if the Lehigh's main entrance is open, why can't extension lines, both entrances, be open? Is there a reason?
If it's open, okay. Of course, there is a reason. If you look at the Lehigh intersection, there are basically culverts on both sides of the actual intersection. So basically, there is a tunnel carrying wastewater on both sides of the end. So it's impossible to be able to divert traffic from the actual road onto the culverts because there are tunnels running over there. And then in comparison to the Nirvana Drive, there are no tunnels that are running parallel to the actual road. So basically, the contractor saw it fit to be able to accommodate traffic by having a temporary detour on the left-hand side of the actual intersection in comparison to Lehigh, whereas it was impossible to be able to have a detour on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side because there are tunnels that are running basically on both ends of the street.
I've asked a number of questions coming in from the community from the WhatsApp screen. We will give you an opportunity to call in now, 011-854-1548. Keep your questions short and straight to the point. Whilst we wait for the callers, then the obvious question here is about timelines. A point taken that COVID has resulted in some deadline, in some delay rather. Is there a date that you're looking at by which this project will be completed, all things considered in as far as COVID is concerned?
Okay, just before I answer that question, I just would like to take you back a little bit in terms of the actual project plan. The plan of the project was for it to run for 18 months. So basically, it had started last year in March. It would have ended in September, but due to some of the project delays, including COVID, including local protests and so forth, the contractor had then asked for a 2 months extension. So basically, we are now looking at November being the deadline for the actual project. And I think the contractor is actually quite confident that they will meet the deadline of November. Basically, especially for the Nirvana intersection on its own, should be finished up way sooner than November, actually. But the deadline is November. The contractor is still confident that they will be able to meet the deadline of November.
Just before we go to the callers, there's a lot of speculation with regards corruption, irregularities, whether the project has got the required funding to see completion. And one can't blame people considering the climate of corruption that we live in. So, just to get straight to the point, if you can categorically answer that so far in terms of this project, can you assure the community there's no funds that went missing, there's been no irregularities, there's been no underperformance by those tasked with the job? Can you categorically assure them in that regard?
In terms of funds going missing, I would say that we are not aware of any funds that have gone missing. In fact, the project value is 97 million. And you'd be surprised to know that the contractor has only claimed an amount of around 37 million to date. So that will then tell you that basically the large chunk of the financial value of the project is yet to be claimed over time. So that then gives you the figures. I will send you any of the information that you require. Basically, I'll have it.
Has there been any irregularities or allegation of irregularities or underperformance or bad performance by the contractors so far, to your knowledge, in terms of this project?
There have been quite a number of allegations, basically. One of which has been the payment issue. That is basically the contractor has been having a difficulty with paying some of the laborers or general workers' salaries on time. So basically, they are then referring the matter to the client, which is the Department of Roads and Transport, and relaying their responsibility to the DRT, stating that it's the client that is taking a bit of time to be able to pay them. So basically, those are the allegations that I'm aware of on my side, that we are engaging with the community on a month-to-month basis. But in terms of any other allegations, I am not aware of any other allegations superseding the payments issue.
All right, let's go to the caller. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just a question for Veli.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
That wasn't answered, right? Initially, that the project was told to the community that it was going to be an extension project. I remember there was something, even if Ismail mentioned, it was going to be 2 roads, 2 lanes on either side, and not a rehabilitation project like Bezos mentioned. And he hasn't yet cleared it up to when that changed. Number 2.
All right, let's just take that question, then we'll get to your second question. He's saying that
Understood.
MEC Wadi said it was a rehabilitation project. Rather an expansion project. When did it change to becoming a rehabilitation project?
I would need to ask, sir, when you say that the community was told of that, who told the community that it was an expansion project?
So when the project initially started, there was a lot of communication going around, and it was even mentioned, like I said, by Ismail Badi, that it was going to be an expansion project. It was supposed to be 2 lanes on either side. It was planned for, and that's what we were told as a community. I think it was on social media, and it was somewhere else as well, even in the papers a long time back, where it was mentioned it was going to be expansion and not rehabilitation.
Okay. On our end, we would need to get to the actual facts regarding that. We would need to get to the black and white facts where it is stated that it is an expansion project, because from the onset, it was communicated to the community at large that this is a rehabilitation project. Also, do bear in mind, sir, that with any construction project that does take place, the contractor and the clients involved are requested by law to basically put up billboards that are advising the community that there will be a certain project. So basically, there has been billboards that were put up months before the actual project started, stating clearly in writing that this is a rehabilitation project and not an expansion project. So we need to get that in black and white, basically. If you're insinuating that Mr. Vali had said that, is there any communication in black and white that specifically outlines that this is an expansion project? Because it was clearly said to the public via billboards, via some of the documents that are made public on the DRT's website, that this is a rehabilitation project.
We've got about 3 minutes to news, so we're still taking your call. 011-854-1548. Brother, your second question?
Why is it taking so long? Why is it rescraping, retarring, and why is it not done section by section? I mean, I've never seen a road being scraped and retarred so many times before on any project.
As stated, basically this project is about rehabilitating the existing road. However, the contractor saw it fit to put temporary lanes next to or running parallel to the actual road. So basically, I'm assuming that you are then confusing the temporary lanes to the actual road that is being resurfaced. But also do take note that because of COVID regulations, it has been very difficult for any company or any contractor basically to be able to proceed with their day-to-day workings. We've got about 70 general workers, and because of COVID guidelines, basically it is not possible to have all 70 people working in one space. So basically the contractor had to then divert attention from working in one specific section to working in multiple sections to be able to allow for social distancing, to be able to allow for people not to congregate at one place all at the same time. So basically, those are some of the challenges that the contractor has gone through. Given that we have had COVID basically coming through and disturbing or disrupting a lot of processes that were supposed to be followed.
I should stop using COVID as an excuse and finally get to work done. Because honestly, using it as an excuse now, it seems like there's a lot of nonsense. There's no signs on a detour road. There's a lot of accidents happening there. It's very unprofessional in the way the whole thing is managed. Stop using COVID as an excuse not to get the work done. Thank you. Bye.
All right. We're almost out of time. We're about 30 seconds from news. Can I perhaps conclude with a suggestion? Maybe a community meeting one of the evenings when it's easier for community members to attend at one of the community halls, get the contractors to be present, let them raise some of the concerns with regards the temporary roads and the markings and all of that. So between now and hopefully end of November, things can be a bit better in terms of usage for the community.
No, definitely. We are open to having public meetings, obviously given COVID guidelines, but we are accessible to the public. You are also allowed to share my personal number with the public so that we can be able to address any issues, any inquiries, any complaints, any knowledge sharing. We are able to do that, but we can also host public meetings as per needed, basically.
Vesa, thank you so much for your time and for coming to studio. We really appreciate it. It's 8 o'clock now. We cross to our Durban studios for the latest news.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
I do apologize there for coming up a bit late. Sorry for that.
No problem.
But thank you so much. Just a quick question. Can we have